Right. So before we start, I'm going to talk a little bit about beginner weeks. So I'm going to talk a little bit about what we're going to focus on this week. Can you guys hear me? Okay. Tacos and namaste 6 feet away shirt. All right. So today we're going to focus on the hips and so basically tight hips, and we're going to do a few exercises. They're not so much yoga exercises, but just exercises so you can really feel where those hips are as well. But tight hips really affect more than just the hips. They can cause overload in other parts, like overuse in other parts of your body if your hips are tight, and specifically the spine. So if you have back problems or back pain or lower back pain, sometimes it could be caused or contributed by tight hips. So, and what can cause the tight hips are if you do a lot of sitting during the day. So like if you're at an office or, you know, even like driving or like long drives or something like that, it can cause really tight hips. So, by stretching out the hips and working on strengthening the hips, it can help improve just the range of motion of the hips, but also decrease the back pain. So that's kind of the physical stuff. In yoga, hips kind of have, in yoga tradition, they kind of say there is energy. There's energy in the hips, and releasing the hips can create an energy shift in your body. So they say the hips are a storage ground for emotions. So, like pent up emotions or even negative feelings. So sometimes, you know, I don't know if you ever experienced it, but some yoga teachers will say, you know, sometimes people in pigeon pose as a deep hip opener, they might find themselves crying and they don't know why. You know, it could just be that, you know, kind of like a yoga thing. It has to hips have to do with storage ground for emotions, especially if you have issues like with control. And that's just kind of a yoga thing, kind of a belief as well around the area of the hips. All right. So we're going to get started in a seat. And so just a basic thing you can do when we're sitting to open up the hips is, you can sit cross-legged, but if you want to open up the hips a little bit more, just simply placing one foot in front of the other. And you kind of see people doing that in yoga a little bit because it helps open up the hips. And, you know, you can do either way. You know, maybe one class, if you remember, you put the left out first, the other class maybe the other. If you have flexible hips and you want to go further, you might start in like a half lotus pose or something like that. And that's just going to be like a deeper opening for the hips. But if that kind of feels like a little uncomfortable, you just want to stick with this because we're just kind of doing a seated breathwork, seated meditation when we start. So we want it to be comfortable, not like super uncomfortable. All right, so from here, you can just draw your shoulders up and back. And even though we're focusing on the hips, it's going to be, of course, a full body, full practice. And then from here, when you're ready, you can just close your eyes or just kind of soften your gaze. Maybe looking out at the water. Starting to lengthen your breath. Coming to a yoga breath. So taking long, deep inhales through your nose. Long, deep exhales out through your nose. Using your breath as a tool to help you focus, concentrate, and really just kind of be present. So we're going to start out with just kind of a very simple breath exercise. So you're just going to inhale with and exhale with me on the count of 5. So let's go ahead and inhale for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and exhale for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Pause and inhale for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Pause and exhale for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Maybe continuing a few more times on your own, maybe even going up to 6 or 7. And while you're here, just kind of noticing, really taking in the feeling of your surroundings, of being on the water, the marina, outdoors. Embracing it for exactly how it is, not wanting to change it. Maybe appreciating today's windy, but it's not quite as windy as it has been lately. And just kind of take a moment and set an intention or remind yourself of something positive, something you're grateful for. From here, you can just slowly open up your eyes. We're going to bring our hands to our heart center. Maybe drawing your shoulders up and back one more time. From here, we're going to inhale, pressing the palms together. Reach up, straighten the arms. Drop your head back. Look up towards your fingers, up towards the sky. And then exhale, slowly bring your hands back down to your heart center. You can bring your chin down to your chest as well. A little bit of a neck stretch. Taking your time. Inhale to reach up. Long, deep breath. Straightening the arms, dropping the head back, side of your body lifts up. Exhale, take your time to make your way back down. Last one. Inhale, reach up. This time, just holding it at the top. Interlace your hands, palms up to the sky. Draw those shoulders back a little bit more, but keeping the shoulder blades down. Good. From here, we're going to add a twist, looking over your right shoulder. So take your left hand to the outside of the right knee, right hand behind your back, looking over your right shoulder. So easy, easy twist just to warm up the spine. And then next, inhale, reach out and up again. Same thing on the other side. Exhale, twist. About 3 deep breaths. And then inhale to reach out and up again. Exhale, you can press those palms together, bringing them back down to the heart center. All right, so from here, we're going to come onto our side. We're going to do kind of more of a Pilates style move, but just to really find where those hips are. So it doesn't matter which side you come down on, you start on, because we're going to do one side, and then we're going to switch and do the other side. So basically, you're going to have your head in your hands. You're going to have your knees bent on top of each other. Bring those knees a little bit forward. Top hand can kind of just be here for stability. And we're doing something, it's kind of like a Pilates move called clamshells. Actually take that top hand, place it on your hip, because that's where we're stretching. And you're just going to lift the knee up, and your foot will maybe slide up a little bit, and then bring that foot down. If you've come to Yoga Lattes class, we've probably done this move before. But how you're going to feel it is because we're going to do it for a full minute, or maybe at least 20 times. So you can really just kind of feel where that hip is. Inhaling halfway through the move, exhaling the other half through the move. So with Pilates, it's doing a lot of repetition. So that's how you really get to start to feel the muscle. So you should start to feel it. We're going to do about 5 more. 4, 3, 2, the last one. Keep your knee up in the air. And we're just going to do little baby pulses for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good job. You can just grab that ankle. Just take a little stretch. A little quad stretch. All right. Can you guys feel that hip there? Okay. So just to kind of wake up your hip, make sure you know exactly where it's at. All right. From here, we're just going to, since we're here, we're just going to come up onto our hands to come into a side plank or a side plank variation. So first variation, you're going to keep your hand, your knee, your foot in line, so you can have that knee down. So that's the one variation. You want your wrist over top of the knee. if you want to come up to that full side plank, you're just simply going to take that other foot up. I like kind of the staggered variation because it helps with balance. Taking a few deep breaths here. Keep the hips lifted up in this pose. One more deep breath. Good. And then you can make your way back down, and we're going to do the same thing on the other side. So that same hip exercise. So kind of strengthening the hips. So we'll strengthen them, and then we'll stretch them out. So setting up, bending the knees, kind of knees in front of you, hand on your hips to make sure you feel it. And then I'll be looking at my watch. We're doing it for about a minute, just opening and closing the knee. And you can slide that foot kind of from like where the feet are together, kind of just halfway up the foot. The top foot comes about halfway up the bottom foot as it slides. Good. Staying with your breath, so kind of maybe inhaling halfway through, exhaling the other half of the way through. Let's do 5 more. 4, 3, 2. Last one, you're going to hold the knee up there and just do little baby pulses. The knee just comes up and down for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good. Just kind of stretch it out so you can just grab that ankle, stretch out the quad a little bit there. All right, from here we're going to set up for the side plank. So side plank on the other side. So I set it up last time on my hand, but you could also come down on your wrist as an option. If you have the knee down, so it's going to be foot, knee, and hand kind of in line, and you want the wrist under the shoulder, or it could even be the forearm under the shoulder. If you're going for the harder, higher variation, maybe feet are staggered. You can even do feet stacked. That's fine. Lift up through the hip, so think to bring that hip up. Don't let it sag down. Deep breaths. One more deep breath. Good, and then you can make your way back down. We're just going to come onto our hands and knees, just facing the front of the mat, to do a few rounds of cat-cow pose, just warming up our spine a little bit more. So hands under your shoulders, knees under your hips. On your inhales, you're going to drop the belly, lift your tailbone up, lift your chest up. And then on your exhale, rounding the lower back, rounding the upper back, round the shoulders, chin to chest. So taking your time to go through these 2 movements should feel really good for the back and just kind of warm up the spine. We'll do one more round of cat-cow. All right, good. So from here, we're going to make our way into a downward facing dog. So just making sure the fingers are spread out, tucking your toes here, and then lift the hips up and back. Stretch it out a little bit. So downward facing dog is a really good stretch for your whole body. Heel toeing the feet as you press the heels down. Feel that extra stretch in your calf. Down dog, stretching out your hamstrings and your arms, shoulders, and even back. Relax your head and neck. So chins towards your chest. And then from here, we'll walk our feet up to our hands. Forward fold. Maybe just keeping a little bend in the knees for the first one. Lifting up through the hips. Relax the head and neck down. On an inhale, we'll come to a half lift. So taking your hands to your shins, draw your shoulders back, flat back, shoulders back and away from the ears. Good. And then exhale, fold forward deeper this time. So maybe just a little bend, micro bend in the knees. Next inhale, Either reach the arms forward or out to the side, but just lengthen through the arms. Whichever feels better. To come all the way up, extended mountain pose. Good. And then we'll bring our hands down to our heart center. So we're going to move through a few sun salutations to really warm up the whole body. So starting towards the front of the mat, let's inhale to reach our arms up. Exhale, fold forward, hinge from your hips. Inhale to come to that half lift again, so moving with your breath. Exhale to bend your knees, plant your hands coming to a plank. Pause here. Let's draw the shoulders apart and make sure we're set up for a nice plank, hips lifted up. We're going to lower down, reverse push-up. You can either stay on your toes or drop down to your knees, coming to a cobra pose. So you're going to draw the shoulders back, lift up your head, neck, and chest. That's a little back bend. And then exhale to make your way down. Coming back into downward facing dog. So staying here for about 3 to 5 deep breaths, settling in. And, you know, a downward facing dog, there's always an option. You can always come onto your hands and knees and do cat-cow again, or a child's pose instead of a downward facing dog. So whatever feels better for you. From here, you're going to look up to your hands, maybe bend the knees a little bit and step your feet up to your hands, coming into a half lift, inhaling. Exhale, fold deeper. And then next, inhale, find length through your arms as you reach all the way up. You want to, reaching back. And then exhale, hands to heart center. Good. So exact same thing again. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, fold forward. Half lift, inhale. Exhale to bend your knees, plant your hands. We're coming back to a plank. Just pause here. We're going to come all the way to our stomach again to come to a locust pose. So lower down to your stomach. Take your time. This time let's interlace the hands behind the back. Lift up the chest and the tops of the feet. So let's hold it about 3 to 5 breaths here. Good. And then you can lower back down. Make your way back into a downward facing dog, or if you prefer just listening to your body, maybe you prefer to do a child's pose. 3 to 5 breaths. And then from here, bend your knees, look up to your hands, bring your feet up to your hands. Half lift, inhale. Exhale, fold. Next, inhale, make your way all the way up. All right, good. Exhale, hands to heart center. We're going to do one more. Everyone's doing so good. One more, last one. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, fold forward. So this is our vinyasa, sun salutation, half lift. Kind of a flow. Step back, make your way back to a plank. Take your time to lower down. Maybe coming to an up dog if you want, which is just a little bit deeper back bend with the straight arms. Draw the shoulders back. And then when you're ready, coming into downward facing dog, or it could be a child's pose for 3 to 5 breaths, just resetting here. Bend your knees, look up to your hands, bring your feet up to your hands, coming into a half lift. Fold forward, and then make your way all the way up. All right, very good. All right, awesome. From here, we'll inhale, reach up. So we're going to make our way back down again. From here, we're going to step back to a downward facing dog. So just stepping back, coming into a down dog, so without the vinyasa. Spread out those fingers, and we're going to come to a 3-legged down dog. So reach the right leg up. So since we're working on hips, go ahead and bend the knee, open up the hip. So flex that back foot, knees bent, and you're stacking the hips. Good. Look under your left armpit, seeing if you can see a glimpse of that right heel. All right, good. So from here, we're going to bring that knee forward. So we're going to come forward with a bend of the knee, and we're going to do hip circles. So we'll start out like maybe 4 or 5 in one direction, and then 4 or 5 in the other direction. When you're ready, switch directions. Good. And then we're going to bring that foot all the way through between the hands. We're going to set up for warrior one. So you're going to spin that back heel down. Check. Make sure your front heel's in the middle of that back foot. Front knees over the ankle. Hip square to the front. Yeah, so you can kind of come here as a halfway point to find your balance. And then you want to find length through your arms. Good. Drawing the shoulders back. Deep breath. And you can always straighten that front leg and then work towards getting a nice bend in that front knee. From here, we'll open up to warrior two. So left hand comes out to the side. Relax the shoulders. Looking towards the right finger. So in yoga, there's certain poses that, like there's a specific area you're supposed to have your eyes to help you focus. So in warrior, it's supposed to be your front fingers, your right fingers. We'll flip our front palm up, back hand down, reverse warrior. Keeping that bend in the knee is a challenge. Good. And then we'll come back to warrior two. We're going to come to extended side angle. So we're going to reach forward, bring your forearm above the knee. Reach. So take your hand to that left shoulder just to bring it open to the sky and then reach your left arm up. From here, we're going to extend it forward. So you're going to bring your bicep towards your ear. Good. And really extend. Let's stay here for a few breaths. Opening that shoulder up. Good. And then you can take both hands down, and we're just going to step back to a downward facing dog. And we're going to do the same thing on the other side. So starting with that three-legged down dog, left leg reaches up. Bend the knee a lot. Open up the hip. Flex that back foot. Stretch it out. That's all you're doing here, stretching it out. Maybe look under the right armpit, see if you can see that back heel. And then you can come forward again, lining up the knees together with a bend in that left knee, and you're going to start to do hip circles about 4 or 5 in the same direction, and then switch in about 4 or 5 in the other direction. So if you haven't already, you can switch and move in the other direction. After your last one, you're going to bring that foot all the way through. Take your time to get up there. Spin the back heel down and check the front heels in the middle of that back foot. The front knees over the ankle. Press that whole back foot into the mat. Make your way up. Good. Sinking in towards that front knee. Yeah, and then you can even take, I like that, so take your hands to your hips, and you want to square your hips to the front. So left hip back, right hip forward for warrior one. And then you can reach the arms up. A few deep breaths. We'll take the right arm out to the side for warrior two. So the legs stay the same. It's just the hips and the arms that move. Relaxing the shoulders. So kind of no matter what you're doing, always think, keep the shoulders down and back. And then you can flip your front palm up, back hand down the back leg, reach your left arm up and back, reverse warrior, so stretching the obliques. Coming back to warrior two, then we're going to do that extended side angle. So legs stay the same, just reach forward, bringing the forearm above the knee. Right hand to right shoulder, spin that shoulder straight up towards the sky. Then reach the arm up, and then you can bring your right bicep towards your right ear, reaching it forward. So maybe your gaze is towards the fingers. Deep breath. So just make sure you're not holding your breath, just coming back to the yoga breath. Good. And then we're going to make our way all the way back up to warrior two. Take a big step forward, or just kind of make your way to the front. Take a drink of water. We'll pause here for a second. And then we're going to do our balancing poses, and then we'll make our way down for some poses on the mat. All right, so we're going to start out with tree pose, and then we're going to kind of add something to that is more of a stretch for the hip, and then a figure four. So start out grounding through, well, let's start out down through the right leg, take your left hip, knee out to the side. We'll start with a baby tree. So for a tree pose, you want to think open up the hip. So you can bring your hands to your heart center, find something to focus your eyes on to help you balance, and you can stay here. This is still a tree pose, or you're going to either slide the foot up to the top, keeping the hip open, the knee out to the side, or you can take that ankle and bring it all the way up. You want to think you're pressing that foot into the leg, but you're also energetically pressing that leg back. Deep breath. Outdoors, it is harder, but just trying your best. All right, so from here, that left foot that you've, or whatever foot you have bent, you're going to flex that foot and you're going to bring it in front of you. So opening up the hip and then bring it back. Keeping that foot out, turn, and flex. We're going to do that 4 more times. Flex it out, bring it back. 3 more times. Good, adding a little movement. 2, last one, I want you to hold it out and just pulse it for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, good. All right, from here, same leg. Yeah, you can roll out that ankle for a second. Same leg that we had up for the tree, we're gonna do a figure 4. So you're gonna bend the knee a little bit, kind of like a chair pose, and then take the ankle above the knee. So option, you can start out a little bit straighter, and hands to your heart center, keep that chest lifted, and you're working towards bending that knee a little bit lower, but keeping the chest lifted. Knee comes out to the side to feel the stretch in your hip more. So if you have like a bar or something to hold on to, you could actually get a little bit deeper in the stretch, but you wouldn't be focusing on your balance quite as much. All right, let's take 1 more deep breath. Okay, come up. So you probably, it feels a lot of pressure on your ankle. That's good, it's strengthening your ankle. Roll it out. And then we'll do the other side. So same thing, starting out with the baby tree. So think open up the hip, stand up nice and tall, find something to focus your eyes on, and just stay where you can find some stillness, even if it's in that baby tree. All right, from here, that outside foot, we're going to keep it flexed. It doesn't matter how high it is, but you're going to bring it forward, straighten the leg, and then bring it back in 5 times. Forward, straighten the leg, bring it back in, keeping it flexed the entire time, hips open the entire time. Good. 2, last one, just hold it in front of you, keeping that foot flexed, little pulses for 5, 4, 3, good, 2, 1. All right, and from here we're gonna set for that figure 4 stretch. If you need to roll up the ankle or tap down, do that for a second. Then we'll start out kind of like a little mini chair pose, and then bring the ankle above the knee. Draw the shoulders back and down, hands to heart center. To go deeper, you're gonna bend the knee a little bit more, and then think energy's pressing that knee out to the side, feeling a stretch the outside of your hip. For 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right. Yes. Good job. All right. From here, we're just going to make our way down. We're just going to come down to the mat into a child's pose. So just taking a child's pose. So child's pose is actually a very gentle, it stretches everything. So it's also stretching up the hip just very gently. Should feel good for your back, your legs. So just taking about 5 or 6 deep breaths here in the child's pose. One more deep breath. We're going to make our way onto our hands and knees, and then we're going to make our way to the side of the mat. We're going to set up for frog pose. So Melanie reminded me about this pose. It's one that I kind of forget about sometimes. All right, so what you're going to do is you're going to take the knees out a little bit wide, which is why we're set out to the side. Flex your feet, which is why it's called a frog pose. Knees even a little bit wider if possible, right? The feet don't need to be flexed, but you just do what you can. So to go deeper, you're going to come onto your forearms in front of you. And this is a pose. Stretching is a deep stretch for your inner legs, for your hips. You could even, if you're more flexible, maybe stretch arms forward, coming down onto the forehead. So usually this pose I tend to incorporate more into like a yin yoga class where we're holding it longer, but it doesn't need to be. Take about 3 more deep breaths. I can't see her. Just kidding. Take a picture. And then you can walk your hands back. All right, take your time to make your way out. So we'll do like a counter stretch. We'll just be a child's pose with our knees together to let our hips and our inner thighs relax. You can take your hands behind you to relax the shoulders. Bring your forehead down. All right, next we're going to make our way to a seat. All right, so we're going to set up for boat pose just to do a little bit of core work. We're going to do 3 rounds of boat pose. So draw the shoulders back. We're going to bend the knees, feet in front of us. Our first round, we're going to have our hands behind our knees. And you can do that for all 3 rounds if you want. So point the toes, lean back, trying to find a place you could balance. Not quite on the glutes, but not quite on the tailbone, somewhere in between. You're going to hover the toes, keep the chest forward, and then bring the feet up to come have a 90-degree bend. And you want to think knees in towards you, chest comes up towards you. Either focus on staying here, or you could work towards straightening the legs a little bit more. For 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Just cross out your ankles, hug your knees in towards your chest. We're going to do 2 more times. All right, so option to keep your hands behind your knees is kind of a little assist to help keep you up, or you could reach your arms forward, energies forward, drawing the shoulders down and back, hovering the toes to start with. Maybe bringing the feet up a little bit more, still bringing the eyes in towards you, chest forward, or straighten the legs for 5. Good. 4, 3, 2, 1. Crossing out your ankles, hug your knees in towards your chest. We're going to do 1 more. Last one. So this really helps build our core strength. So draw the shoulders back, reach the arms forward, hover the toes, upper thighs in towards you, chest forward, energy through the arms to help lift you forward for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You can hug your knees in towards your chest. All right, from here we're going to come to a seated twist. So you can take your right leg out long, cross your left foot over top. Option to keep that leg out long for the twist, or if you like to, you can bend the knee back, kind of sitting a little bit on the heel, but either way is fine. Reach up long, so you're going to think you're going to reach up long with the opposite arm. So if the left knee's on top, right arm reaches up, inhale, and then exhale, elbow and knee looking over your shoulder. So for your twist, you want to think to sit up straight, so you don't want to lean back on that backhand. You want to be active. And then you want to look over your shoulder to also get a neck stretch, and just kind of that's the direction you want to twist. And you're twisting the upper body, so think of like lifting your stomach up and over that upper thigh. Pressing the pad of that left foot down if that's on the mat. And then we'll come back through to the center and just a counter stretch, one breath on the other side. Just feels good. And then we'll set up for the twist on the other side. So same thing, just switching sides. So pressing the whole pad of that foot down of the knee that's bent. You can either keep the leg out long or bend back. Reach up long, so whatever knee's on top, opposite arm reaches up. Inhale and then exhale. Twist, looking over that shoulder, sitting up nice and tall. Deep breath. And then you can make your way back through to the center and just taking an easy counter stretch on the other side. All right. So the next pose we're going to do is one we don't do very often as well, but it's called cradle the baby pose. So you can take, take your right leg forward, and you're going to take the opposite foot. You're going to put it in the hand to start out with, and then the other, doesn't really matter what side you start with. And then the elbow around the knee. So flexing the foot, and you're just going to move side to side. So stretching the hip. If you want to go deeper, the full pose is you're going to put the foot around the elbow, and then the other elbow goes around the knee, and release the hands together. Sit up nice and tall, and then rock side to side, stretching out the hip. Good. So it's like kind of like this is more like a prep pose. So it's like prepping your body to do like maybe a deeper hip stretch. The pose is actually prepping for is to put your ankle up over your head. Yeah, that's pretty good. Can anyone get almost there? That's pretty good, Laura. Oh my gosh. She did it for a second. All right, so from here we're going to come into square pose. So that leg that's out long, you're going to bend it. So you want to bend the knee. So you don't want to bring it in like you're sitting cross-legged. You want to bring it out like it's kind of parallel to the front of the mat, and you're going to stack the foot on the knee, the other knee on top of the foot. Now, if you have tight hips, you might have like big space there. That's normal if you have tight hips. If you don't have tight hips, we won't have a space, and that'll be good. Either way is fine. All right, so from here, you can either sit up nice and tall and you should feel the stretch in the outside of that hip of the knee that's on top. If you want to go deeper, you can walk your hands forward in more of a forward fold, and it'll just increase the stretch in your hip of the leg that's out long. Or the hip of the knee, the leg that's on top. Yes, I know, right? Few deep breaths. One or two more deep breaths. And then you can walk your hands back. And we're just going to switch sides. So we're going to start out with cradle the baby pose on the other side. So maybe just starting out with your hands around the foot and then the elbow around the knee. Starting out here. If you want to go for the full pose, the more flexible option, taking your elbow around the foot, interlace the hands, draw the shoulders back, sit up tall, rock side to side. Good. And if you tried on the other side to bring your foot over your head, maybe you want to try on this side. Wow. But don't hurt yourself. Which side is more flexible? The other one, yeah. All right, so from here we'll come to square pose. So bending that other knee back, but not bringing the foot all the way in towards you. You're going to keep it out a little bit. Place the foot on top of the knee. The other knee is going to stack on top of that foot, and one side might be tighter than the other. That's normal. Feeling it, both sit bones are down, feeling it on the outside of that hip of the leg that's on top. And if you already feel it a lot, you might not need to fold forward. You might just stay here for a few breaths. But if you want to try to increase the stretch, you're going to come forward. About 2 more deep breaths. And then walk your hands back. Take your time to just make your way out of the pose. Maybe just shake out the legs. All right, so from here we're going to set up for lizard pose. So coming back onto your hands and knees. And then you're going to take your right foot to the outside of your hands. All right, so to open up the hip. And so both hands are inside that right foot. Perfect. And then we're just going to stretch it out first. So you're going to take that foot out kind of at a diagonal. Take your hand to your knee and just kind of stretch it out. Whatever feels good, just opening up the hip. And it's nice sometimes to do a twist here, so kind of looking over that right shoulder as you bend the knee down. Good. And then you can place the whole part of that foot down. Bring the foot forward again. So this is our lizard pose right here. Both hands inside the foot. If you want to go deeper in the pose, you're going to bring one forearm down. Maybe just staying here. If you're able to, maybe you'll bring both forearms down. It's a little bit more intense stretch, a great stretch for your hips. About 2 more deep breaths. And then make your way back up to your hands if you're on your forearms. We're going to move from here to pigeon pose. So you're going to take that right foot over to the left side. Bringing the right knee down, back knee back. Good. From here, we're going to square the hips. So start out in the upright pigeon. So draw the shoulders back and think right hip back, left hip forward. And then from there, you can make your way down to a resting pigeon. So resting on the forearms is an option. Or if you want to get a little bit deeper, you can even stretch the arms forward, bring your forehead down. Just coming back to your breath here. Trying to just let your body kind of release. So trying not to just let go of that tension. They say sometimes your hips are also connected to your face. So just notice if you're scrunching up your face, because this is kind of a deep stretch and just kind of softening the muscles in your face. And just about 2 or 3 more deep breaths here. then take your time to make your way out of the pose. So coming back to figure four, coming back to hands and knees. So to kind of stretch out the hips, from here you can do a few hip circles on your hands and knees. You can roll over to the side. It's like they say, however you can get out of the pose, you get out, right? As long as you know, if you're on the paddleboard, you're just falling in the water there. All right. And then we'll set up for the other side. So bring that left foot to the outside of both of your hands. Maybe take that back knee back a little bit. And we're going to start out with the stretch. So you're going to take that left foot out at kind of a diagonal, left hand to left knee. Just open up the hip, just stretch it out. Maybe adding a little twist, looking over your shoulder, dropping the other knee down. And then you can come back through to the center, so straightening that foot, pressing the whole pad of that foot down. Lizard pose, so either staying here on your hands or maybe going down deeper, and just knowing that, you know, this side might be a little different than the other side. And then you can make your way back up onto your hands, and we'll take that left foot over to the right side, coming into a pigeon pose. So starting in an upright pigeon, so maybe thinking to square the hips. So if you think left hip back, right hip forward, and then when you're ready, making your way down to your forearms, or you can even eventually maybe stretch your arms out in front of you, bring your forehead down, allowing your body to relax and release into the pose. Come back to your breath. Telling yourself, just allowing yourself to let go in the pose. And then about 3 more deep breaths. And take your time to make your way out of the pose, just moving nice and slow, coming out however you want to come out. You can roll over onto the side if you want, and then come onto your hands and knees and just do a few hip circles, or just stretch that leg back. Just kind of stretching it out. We'll come into a downward facing dog just to really stretch out the legs. Stretch everything out again. And then we'll make our way back down. Maybe take another drink of water, and we're going to finish on our backs. All right, so we're going to set up for a bridge pose. So bending the knees, you want the feet about hips distance apart, and then the heels up towards you. Press your palms down into the mat to lift your hips up. You can interlace your hands behind your lower back, walking your arms under your shoulders. Keep those hips lifted up nice and high. Lift your chin up away from your chest and just kind of maybe noticing the clouds in the sky tonight. One more deep breath. And then you can make your way down. Take your feet out wide, drop both knees to one side and then to the other. All right, from here we're going to come to a half happy baby pose. So you're going to straighten the left leg. You're going to bend the right knee, reach for the outside of the right ankle or the outside of the right foot. And I said straighten the left leg, but you could keep the knee bent as well if that feels better. You don't need to straighten it. So either option's fine. The main focus is the half happy baby pose. So the knees out wide. You're pressing the knee down towards the mat. So you're stretching the outside of that hip, a little bit the inner thigh. You want to flex that right foot and keep on pressing the knee down lower towards the mat. And then from here, we're going to switch sides. So you can put that right foot back down, bend the other leg. So knees out wide, out to the side. Foot flexed up towards the sky, pressing that knee down. Opposite knee can be bent or straight. Either way is fine. Opening up that hip. From here, we're going to come to full happy baby. So bringing the other leg up, reaching for the outsides of either both ankles or both feet. From here, you can kind of like cradle the baby, rock side to side. Maybe press your lower back down onto the mat if that feels good. Or you could lift your tailbone up if that feels better. And then from here, we're just going to bend one knee in a lot, straighten the other leg. So just stretching it out a little bit. And then we'll switch sides, bending the other knee in, straightening the other leg, stretching it out. Maybe both legs straight. And then we're going to bring the feet together, coming to a lying down butterfly stretch. So feet are together. Relax the knees out to the side. So just allow them to relax. Hands out to the side, maybe palms up. Allowing your shoulders to relax. Either closing your eyes or looking up at the sky. So if this feels comfortable, option to stay here for your Shavasana or even for part of the Shavasana. Or if you prefer, making your way into regular Shavasana by straightening the legs, allowing the feet to naturally open out to the side. And just taking these last few moments to allow your body to relax. So in yoga, Shavasana is considered a really important part of the practice. So it's also a pose, it's good for your back to be able to lie flat on the mat to release. It's also good for your mind to, not have to do anything. So even during the yoga practice, we're thinking about stretching and doing certain poses. In the Shavasana, you're supposed to allow your mind to just relax. not having to focus on your breath in particular, in any particular way, just kind of breathing naturally, just being, just feeling. And then from here, take a nice deep inhale, complete exhale. Again, nice deep inhale, complete exhale. Maybe start to roll out your ankles, roll out your wrists a few times. So we reawakening kind of outside edges of your body. And then you can stretch those arms up overhead, bend the knees, stretch it out. Maybe rolling onto your side. Taking your time to make your way all the way up to a seat. And we'll just finish class the same way we started. So we'll bring our hands to our heart center, pressing the palms together. We'll inhale, reach our arms up nice and tall, drop the head back. Exhale to bring your hands back to your heart center. Just taking a moment to kind of pause here, reflect on your practice. Feeling a sense of gratitude, a little bit more sense of peacefulness. Just allow the positive energy you feel from the practice to be a benefit to yourself and the people around you throughout the evening and throughout the day tomorrow. Namaste. Namaste 6 feet away. No. But glitter while you're doing it, right? Thank